So a lot of you probably were not expecting me to be up on stage here. Not really today, but just right now. We were supposed to be doing a panel for M Cubed, but the person who was supposed to do that panel had some issues and I guess didn't show up. So I'm filling in for him because I'm doing a similar project to M Cubed. So people who came here because they wanted to hear about a modding platform, you don't have to leave. So anyway, just to go to sort of get this started. Ultimately, one of the things is currently everyone uses a platform known as CurseForge. You've probably heard of it. And a lot of people tend to have issues with CurseForge, ranging from slow moderation times, which isn't really something that I fault them for. Just let me make that clear up front. Slow moderation times isn't really something you can do a lot about for a platform like that. Or just it's just a general a number of problems. It's just rather than just talk about this, I'll just ask someone that you know that uses CurseForge. That's just easier, rather than me standing up here and bad mouthing CurseForge or something. So anyway, so I've been working on a project known as Modistry that is meant as less of a replacement for CurseForge, just more as a alternative. I usually refer to it as a content hosting system rather than just a modding host system, as it a lot. Yes, seriously, stop with the tomatoes. Thank you. So, trying to find a good place to start. Actually, how about just someone ask a question? That would probably be a good starting point. Anything related to mod hosting?
What advantages will this have over Forge?
That's not really a good question.
But there's reasons.
What are your general goals when trying to create such a like? What kind of content are you seeking to host? What are you trying to promote? What is your vision of the ideal execution of what you're doing?
That's a good question. I guess ultimately the main thing is it's supposed to sort of be focused on the content creator rather than the content or the platform, which I ultimately find end up being the issue with some of the other platforms is just that the content isn't really the focus, and or rather the content creators aren't really the focus, which is fair because you're there to get content, but at the same time you shouldn't be pretty much actively demoting the content creators. So ultimately, well, I guess I can talk about why I started this project in the first place. I saw a tweet by Vazki, obviously on Twitter, about how would you feel if I started putting a pay what you want slider on my mods? And that got me thinking, what would this be like in a modding platform? Ultimately, that's not the entire focus of the modding platform. That's just one of the main ideas. This is what got me thinking about it. So I guess that what solution do you have for PAX creators and server owners? That was another thing, is sort of tying in with Mosh's panel earlier. He's talking a lot about maps and such, and how they don't really tend to have a good installer for maps, because a lot of people tend to have issues with getting them installed because Minecraft likes to put itself in weird places. So one of the things is the launcher was going to be supporting maps as well as mod packs, or just a combination of the two. And of course, it would also work as an installer, because I know a number of people have an issue with launchers, because you have to put in your account credentials, you have to use the launcher to launch the game. Maybe you like multi-MC, maybe you like the vanilla launcher, maybe you have some other launcher you're using. So you can just use it as an installer and everyone's happy. And for server owners, that sort of ties in with the launcher, is you can use it on the command line as a package manager. That's another one of the plans, is that. Hold on, let me open up a design doc real quick. All right, and I guess sort of extrapolating off that question is also mod pack. Oh, you did ask pack creators. I somehow missed that. Is one of the things is a lot of other platforms don't really provide private mod pack support, and I understand why, because you have to pay for the bandwidth, you have to store them, you have to do this and that and everything else. And so sort of the issue ends up being, so I have a private pack. What is the best solution if I want to distribute my pack to my users? Well, you could go the traditional route. You could just put it up in a zip and give them the zip, but that's extremely clunky. It's hard to use, and I'm speaking from experience having run a pack like that for a while. And we also have a couple good solutions. We have SK Craft Launcher, we have multi-MC zips, we have MC Updater, but we don't really have a good solution for people who, for example, can't host a server to have all these assets on. And so ultimately, one of the ideas would be private mod packs should be a first-class citizen on this system. So if you wanted to make a private mod pack, you could create one, and you wouldn't have to share it with everyone. You wouldn't have to wait for moderation. You wouldn't have to do anything. You'd just push your pack, and it'd be done. And one of the other things as well is another good platform out is Solder, and I'm told it has a nice interface for creating packs. That would also be one of the things we would want to offer is you wouldn't have to upload a zip or something and edit JSON files or whatever. I haven't personally created a curse pack, just to be clear on that, because I run Linux and I can't. Or at least that would be what I think. I can't use the curse launcher, so I'm not going to make a curse pack. How about that? That's the simpler explanation. And so you end up kind of people who don't really want to or that can't really wrap their heads around JSON or such. So you don't really need to do that as such. Hold on, let me scroll through the questions. How do you plan to pay for bandwidth? That's a very good question. I currently have 3 servers, which have a lot of horsepower, and they have 10 terabytes, allocated bandwidth per month, and they have a gigabit up and down. That's what I'm currently running BTM on. IBFS is a good idea as well, if it could be trusted to be consistent, though. Of course, though, you have to think about how do companies like Dropbox and Box or Google Drive, well, we know how Google Drive offers it, offer free content or free space for everyone.
Well,
and
Google Drive has secondary sources of income, and Dropbox and the other one have business plans.
Yeah, but that's what I'm sort of getting to. I guess the business plans is a good point, but ultimately it ends up being that storage as a whole is a sort of thing you might notice as well with business plans on a lot of things is they aren't very expensive. Storage isn't really expensive anymore. And it might be something of a thing to come up here and say outright. I don't claim that as a fact, of course. It obviously depends on how you're getting storage. Obviously, on a cloud provider, you probably end up paying a lot for storage simply because of the markup. But anyway. Let's see.
How open is your solution going to be? Like, how open will the API be and stuff like that?
If it will have an API, and one of probably the number one thing I've resolved to do is have detailed documentation on the API. I'm not very good at writing documentation, but I'll do my best to at least list all the endpoints and all of the possible parameters they can take. Because I know that one of the major issues people have with some of the other platforms is they either have an undocumented API or their API is really hard to use.
Or it doesn't exist.
Or it doesn't exist, yes.
That's good. Documentation is not a word I hear often over here.
Question, how do you avoid pirates uploading movies as a mod pack? I don't think you really can prevent that. And, I mean, just look at Dropbox, for example. That's obviously something people do a lot, but there's not much they can do about it except for listen for DMCA requests and do some of their own moderation, I guess, as well. That's sort of a problem that every hosting system tends to have, and it's not really a problem I can solve. It's unfortunate, but, you know, do what you can.
Question. So you mentioned Vasky doing the pay what you want slider thing, and you know how to phrase it best, how divisive the community can be on the issue of earning any sort of profit or income from modding. What's your stance on it? Specifically as the platform maintainer, your personal opinion is also fine, but I'm mostly looking for the opposite position of the platform.
Ultimately, Aligning with the focus on creators that I mentioned earlier, I feel like all content creators deserve to earn something for what they've worked on, because obviously they've spent time making it, and they've most likely spent some of their own money making it as well, just due to the fact that they usually do it for free in their spare time, and that implicitly means that you have to spend money on it. And ultimately, sort of to explain more the pay what you want slider thing is, I've noticed that something people like Humble Bundle have had great success with this model. You can get the thing for basically free, or you can pay as much as you want. And as such, it's just, you go to the download page, you get a slider, it says include an optional contribution with your download, and you choose if you want to include it. If you don't, you don't. If you do, you do. And ultimately, one of the other priorities is reducing friction as much as possible, because ultimately people are here to download content. They might not have the time to contribute, because you have to go through the payment flow if you've never done it before, add your credit card, authorize this, that, the other thing, or even maybe even have to make an account. But reducing friction, of course, would mean that you have to allow you to go through without an account, without paying, without adding any sort of anything. You just download the damn thing. Are you building a desktop application? I was actually experimenting with writing it in Rust, with the Rust system being the package manager half, and the Rust system would then load either Java or Electron application for the launcher if you wanted to use the launcher. So you would download a really small, probably a couple 100K package manager that could download and run a launcher if you needed that. Ultimately, I would be interested in making a native desktop application, but it's not really something I could manage to maintain on my own. See you, Azzy.
Sure. I'm kind of stuck in the end.
And this is somewhat random. One of the things I found as well is that there's not really any good platforms for sharing command blocks. People usually just tend to send pastebin links with one of those one command things that spawns this giant monstrosity that then creates a command block contraption in the spawn chunks. And so I feel like it's that there needs to be a good way to share command blocks as well. And as such, that's part of why I positioned it as a content platform rather than a mod platform. It's best suited for all the content, not just mods. Resource packs belong, mods belong, maps belong, command blocks belong, even schematics probably have a place there. And yeah, structure blocks would probably count as schematics. And SXW, I run Linux. Linux is a first-class platform. Nikki, I feel like the schematic blocks would be distributed as the pure NBT files. Schematics would be distributed in schematic or quantum format. And command blocks, I feel like probably the best way to distribute those, even though I hate it, is those massive one-command contraptions, because then you just copy-paste it into a command block and you're done. But there is room for better ways to distribute them. I'm not sure on them, as I don't personally do much with command blocks, so I wouldn't really be the best person to ask on how to do that. DMF, content only for MC, or would you go into other games? If the platform ends up being good and people actually use it, then it will probably expand in other games, yes. Could you export the one-liner into a schematic? I don't really see a purpose of doing that when you could just export the command block contraption without the weird one-liner as a schematic in its own.
What do you plan to do to prevent people from, if someone else doesn't have a mod on the platform, and how do you prevent someone else from taking someone else's mod and putting it up on the platform as their own?
Well, for a private mod pack, I don't think, as I've already covered the whole fact that we can't be expected to review all of the private content. But for public mods, as we're going to have people manually moderating them, we can probably, if somebody tries to post a mod that is well known, we'll probably ask for verification that they are the author of the mod. And of course, if we get a report that a mod is stolen, we'll probably take it down. Probably as in, the only case we would not take it down is if it turns out to be official. Where did all these cobwebs come from? I don't know. And this is sort of related to the question on crap. The question I previously answered was crap. I'm not good at words. I'm going to have to ask you to repeat the question so I remember what I was going to say.
I was asking how you were planning on
Oh, right, moderation. That was what I was going to discuss. Sorry, I blanked out for a moment. So one of the issues that most platforms have had lately is how do you deal with moderating content? Because obviously, if you do it all manually, it takes a very long time and it requires a lot of effort. And appointing people you can trust to approve this content is also an issue, because if somebody is put in that position of power, they could potentially approve a piece of malware, potentially on purpose, and end up distributing it to potentially hundreds of thousands of people. So ultimately, I think that there's a lot to be learned from Stack Overflow and overall Stack Exchange in this space, as they have a community that's very well self-moderated, except for the fact that they have content public by default. We would have public content private by default. So ultimately, members of the community that have proven themselves to be useful by some automated criteria, or even for the initial stuff, of course, manual appointment, would be given access to a panel that would allow them to collaborate with others to reverse engineer mods and tell if they are malicious or if they are benign. And ultimately, as said, I feel like Stack Exchange has a lot of really great prior art for this, and Discourse has proven this to work very well even for forums. So I feel like that this can be applied very well to almost anything. Would you have an override system like Curse for mod files that are not on the platform? That would fall under the private pack system. But for a public pack with overrides, I'm not sure really. If it ends up being necessary, it'll probably end up happening. But I would much rather prefer that they willingly submit their mod to the platform. Can private packs use files from the platform? That's pretty much the entire point of making it a private pack rather than just giving you hosting and a launcher. You could add anything you wanted for files as well as any mods that were on the platform. And the main reason you can add files that you want is so that if you have a mod that's specific to the pack or something you don't want to distribute as public, you could do that. And there will even be private mods. So if you wanted to put a mod up on the system and only use it in some private packs, you could. Without having to duplicate that file over all the packs you wanted to use it in.
Would it be possible to say, like, if a few friends wanted to come together and play a mod pack, you could have, like, a mod pack creation tool, almost, on the platform?
Yes, I already confirmed that the only way to create mod packs on the system is going to be through a creation tool.
Oh, I missed that.
Because the way of doing it manually with JSON and everything is honestly quite clunky. And it really can't get much worse than manually editing JSON files. Yeah, definitely taking a lot of inspiration for the skcraft creator because it's an excellent tool. Nikki, there would obviously be ways to export and manipulate and then re-import that data, but the only official way to do it would be using the interface. There would obviously be a documentation on the exported format. Oh, and of course, the other main plan was there was going to be a way to export any mod pack as a multi-MC zip. It will probably be the case that when people download a mod pack, the download numbers of individual mods will increase as well. Yes, yes, correct. That is one of the main advantages of a platform like this. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to fill an hour, because I know that Galen had enough to fill an hour, but yeah. I mean, I've thought a lot about this, but I'm having trouble talking about it, sort of, because there's a lot to cover. And it's kind of hard to choose what to cover, which is why I asked people to ask questions.
So you've covered individual mod donations. How would it work for a mod pack when you download a mod pack? Like, if individual mods had the option to donate to them, would...
Yeah, well, going back to the sort of correlation with Humble Bundle, I feel like their system is probably the best there. You are presented with a number of sliders allowing you to choose what part goes to where. So you would have a portion that goes to the mod pack creators, a portion that goes to the modders, and a portion that goes to the platform. And so then you could further expand the mod thing and adjust your contributions to individual mods. Elpec asks, will the launcher have a terrible chat and voice system like Curse? No. I think that the idea of having a chat and voice system in the launcher is good, but I'm not about to attempt to do something like that because it's easy to do wrong. It's sort of it's in a way it's the Unix philosophy because you're trying to be a launcher and a voice chat program. That just doesn't really work. Well, mods have the option for content packs as well, things like Lucky Block scripts. That's a good question. I feel like that would probably fall under the schematics category, which is turning into the MISC category, and I'll probably have to end up renaming it later. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like there's room on the platform for things like Lucky Block scripts. Because ultimately, there's a lot of value to be had in existing configs for mods. And a lot of the time, they don't really fit as mod packs, or it might even be better to release it as a mod pack and a config. Maybe you'll release it as a config and then make a mod pack that relies on that config rather than bundling it. Ultimately, there's a bunch of ways to put this together.
Would there be a pay for you want for configs? Because I think that would be interesting, but also kind of weird.
As said, I feel like any content that people spend time making, they deserve to be paid for.
I mean, it is paid.
How much is a different question.
Also ads. And
is also a question that the answer is in the hands of the person who is downloading the content. Maybe it would be best to link into Discord, TeamSpeak, or whatever instead of making it part of the launcher. Yeah, but at that point, it's like, why integrate it at all? Just leave it out. People can use side channels to distribute links or host names for their preferred voice chat system. How do you think people would deal best if they don't want to host their mod on multiple platforms? Only semi-related to Modistry, but I've had a dream for a while of creating a tool to automatically distribute your mod to all platforms simultaneously. It would probably end up taking the form of a Gradle plugin. Will we have access to a data API? As I said earlier, I plan to have an extensive and well-documented API. There will probably also be an analytics tab on the site. Will we get Steam and Amazon keys? That depends on if I can wrangle up the same kind of discount that Curse is getting. But at the same time, since you get real money from the pay what you want system, I'm not sure if there's that much point in it. Because ultimately, I felt that it was more important to get the creators real money than to get them gift cards for whatever. Nikki, link isn't a hyperlink, right? Yeah, that's just yeah.
Guys, could we please refrain from the tomatoes? You will be kicked if you use them in the panel room from now on.
I went outside.
Yeah, the tomatoes are for fun, and they're great to use when there's not a panel going on, but it's honestly just rude to throw them while people are talking. What is the time frame for this going live? I would like to get this working in the next few months, but situations in my sort of real life right now don't really allow that. We'll see what happens. Sort of was filler, not as in sort of real. How can you help with Modistry or in general? In general, the best way you can help me is pledging to my Patreon. And for the platform, I honestly think that it would be unhelpful for people to get involved this early. So ultimately, nothing. How do you plan to handle all this legally, like taxes and such? I have someone else who's dealing with that, and I pass by my ideas for all this. I pass all my ideas related to this by them first before assuming that it'll be possible. Because one of the things as well was I was originally going to be giving people a cut of the ad revenue, but after reading more closely the AdSense terms of service, that's not allowed. Where can I follow you to see when the platform is matured enough to be helpful? I have a Twitter at Unascribed.
SXW asks what language or tooling your platform uses.
As said, I'm currently toying with writing the package manager in Rust. That might not end up being how I do it though. And the launcher is most likely going to be written in Java or Electron. And the site is currently based on Java servlets. Currently, it might switch languages later on. Will the launcher be open source? In all likelihood. It makes use of well-documented APIs, and there's not much in there that's private at all, and it's all my code. Because ultimately, the reason that the platform won't be open source is there's already code in there that's not mine that I don't have the rights to make open source, and the people who are responsible for that code would much rather have that only be released in the event the platform is successful. And if that does happen, they would prefer to see it released under the AGPL v3, as would I, as that keeps it from being closed up by someone else. If we're going to release this as open, it's going to be open. We're not going to have any of this half-baked open stuff. I got in a bit late. Sorry. Can you give me the explain like I'm 5 quick overview? I'm making a content distribution platform. I carefully avoid the term mod distribution platform for a reason. And it's ultimately sort of meant to be an alternative. Note that I don't say replacement for Curse. SXW says, I'm concerned about being locked into another platform. As mentioned earlier, I plan on adding ways to export to other commonplace data formats, such as multi-MC zips. So does anyone have any more questions, or should I just try to find something to talk about?
As S6W has said, cricket, but no, never mind.
I'm not sure. What have you not asked about? I did cover that. The system was originally inspired by actually Vazky tweeting about an idea to make a pay what you want slider on their mod download pages. That would be the main way to get monetization going. And for the platform, we're probably going to have ads because they're a necessary evil. But we plan it so that if you contribute $5 or more to anything, it will disable all ads for a while.
If we do take the ad route, will there be ads in the launcher or just on the site?
The launcher is prime real estate, but in the interest of not annoying the users, I would probably not put any ads in the launcher.
For ad networks, will you be what choice of ad networks are you sort of thinking of doing, or do you think you'll be handling the ads yourself?
The hope is we're going to be able to use AdSense, as it's probably the most profitable ad platform, and if the intention is to actually pay for the service with the ads, that's kind of necessary. But in the event AdSense doesn't work out or we have to move off of it, I am definitely looking at Project Wonderful. I used it a lot in the past, and it's a very nice platform that sort of is sort of great for everyone. It's good for the website host. It's good for the person who's running the ad, and the ads in general tend to be a lot more relevant, and they're also usually more community-oriented content.
Nice.
Innuendo, when I say content, I mainly mean content for games, like that can be loaded into the game and then played with. You could argue that a video is technically played, but you know what I mean by play. And someone asked, or not asked, but said, I don't think it's a good idea to use Java servlets for the website. Why would that be exactly? There are a lot of extremely high traffic websites that are built on Java servlets. It's a very well-proven technology built on a very well-proven platform. Ultimately, a lot of people feel that Java is slow, but that is a myth that has been perpetuated for quite a long time. The last time Java was slow was something like 20 years ago.
That myth is perpetuated by the fact that the 4 or 5 big applications that advertise that they're Java compatible or things like Minecraft, where
yeah, that's a good point.
They kind of have bugs. So
yeah, Minecraft is. I mean, I guess that's probably the main reason that the myth exists in the Minecraft community is because Minecraft is an awful game. Because you can't use them on every device. No, Java servlets are a server-side technology, not client-side. No one has to be concerned about running the Java servlets. SXW, I was talking about writing the package manager in Rust, not the site. Oh, actually, Jackie actually suggested using Rust for the server. DarkX, let me check what your question is again. How do you plan to handle this legally? No, I hate applets. Applets suck. Oh, ads in the launcher. So was this about Project Wonderful specifically, or was it just about ads in general? SXW, Rust is production quality. There's just not a lot of production quality software written in it. Most of the stuff built on Rust is experimental. Oh, the web server tooling. I have no idea. Darkhax, I'll assume your question is about ads in general. Oh, about ads for content. That's an interesting idea. That would allow a way to have more relevant and less obnoxious content in the launcher. Because as said, for ads, the launcher is kind of prime real estate, but it's also one of the most annoying places to put ads, which is why I would rather avoid it. But I guess on that note, I think that's a good idea, but one of the things I would say is if I end up putting ads in the launcher, because it's still an if, I'm very strongly opposed to putting any sort of ads in a place as visible as the launcher. It would make some good money, but it's annoying as hell. But if we did content ads for servers or mod packs or mods or whatever, then I would specifically disallow GIFs. If you go look at some of the popular Minecraft server lists right now, and you just look around, it's like everyone has a GIF banner and everyone is trying to be as annoying as possible to get your attention. And it is absolutely impossible to find a server you actually want to play on there.
Another kind of side note for something I kind of find important is if you do have advertisements, it's really important to vet out the advertisement networks if they're not something you are controlling yourself, because there's a lot of kind of malware that sort of surrounds the massive ad gating around draft mods, and I'm become kind of an issue.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat as you. I'm really strongly opposed to ad gating, and as said, I in general really do not like ads, but I feel that they're a necessary evil in this day and age.
Yeah, I think ads are perfectly fine. Just relevant ads, like something that's interesting to Minecraft.
Yeah, and that was sort of my point.
Creepers or something.
Yeah, but that was sort of my point with Project Wonderful and native ads. Is you would have a native ad, you would have an ad for content that's on the platform rather than ad for something unrelated. And with Project Wonderful, since the ad platform there is a lot more focused on the community than on the just it existing and making money, the ads tend to be a lot more relevant because people manually choose which sites they want to push their ads to, and in general, it's just a lot better. But of course, the problem with that is it doesn't make very much money. And of course, as ads have to pay for the thing somehow, I will have to reluctantly go with AdSense, at least initially.
What about Amazon affiliate links?
Sorry, what was that?
What about like Amazon links or Amazon affiliate?
I can't say I'm terribly familiar with Amazon affiliate links. Is that my guess is you get a cut of the purchase if they purchase the item that you linked?
If you purchase anything within 24 hours on the Amazon after clicking that link, if you don't click someone else's link, then you get a cut.
Interesting. I feel like there's a lot of potential there as well for just being money grubbing and not really trying to actually help the users, and more just post all the Amazon links you can just to get them to sort of oops, I killed a flamingo, just to get them to give you money. And of course, as I've reiterated 100 times, it's one of the main things I really do not want to do. Help the author section, but I feel like the thing is, though, with Amazon, the platform would end up getting a cut there, unless I can dynamically generate affiliate links. Or you could let the mod creator put in their link, but it's certainly an interesting thought. I think I'll leave it at that, though. WGet friendly. I was actually about to cover that without a question. One of the things as well is there was going to be an auto-generated Maven repository for all mods posted on the system. So that would definitely be WGet friendly. And that would also mean you don't have to hack with Ivy repository patterns anymore. You just put in Maven repository, https://modistry.com/maven, and then you just include the mod as a dependency. Well, but Henry, as of late 1.8 builds, deop compile is no longer necessary. It will do it at runtime. And as such, it's actually better to load obfuscated builds into your dev environment, because that way... oh wait, that's what deop compile does. You probably know exactly why it's best to load obfuscated builds, because that way they use Sarge names and not MCP names. I added, I forget which mod it was. I think it was JEI. I added JEI as a dependency into the build.gradle, and it was deobfuscated. I didn't specify deop file. No, it shouldn't, because the compiler isn't messing with that code. And the method signatures use MCP names anyway. Yeah, in 1.7 you needed to go chicken court. Also, I want to throw this in mainly because I ended up replacing the MQ panel because the panelist couldn't get here in time. I know that a lot of my ideas sound very similar to the MC Mod Machine design document. I just want to make it clear, I started my project 3 weeks before MC Mod Machine became a thing, and I come up with the vast majority of my ideas independently before I had ever read the MC Mod Machine design document. I was surprised by just how similar our ideas were once I did read the document, though. I know, I feel a need to say it because I know someone is going to call me out on it if I don't. Sort of like the NEI versus TMI thing that happened a long time ago. Did someone ask a question? I feel like I saw someone ask a question and I can't find it now. Someone suggests putting sponsorships in the launcher. Yeah, I feel like that's sort of the ultimately the point of the native ads thing is you put in ads for stuff that's on the platform, and that would end up sort of being a sponsorship. Will there be a premium system like Curse? I think ultimately the alternative to the premium system is just paying $5 or more for pay what you want. As ultimately, because we have to run the platform somehow, we are going to end up getting a cut of that. It won't be that much. I want to give the modders a majority share, but we'll see how that works out. And currently, the main thing that would get you is just no ads. And maybe downloads would be faster or something. Not sure. I ultimately would prefer not to throttle downloads, but again, we'll see what happens. It's like I have a couple servers with big gigabit pipes, but part of the thing is if you have hundreds of users, those gigabit pipes don't seem so big anymore. And most users can't take advantage of the full gigabit, so it ends up ends up being that you have one person using most of your bandwidth, just because they have a nice connection. Yato, I can very easily get a 10 gig pipe if I need it. It's just they're expensive.
You missed the meme arrows.
What happens if nobody pays for mods? Then the world is ending, the sky will fall, and all the volcanoes will erupt simultaneously. Just due to law of averages, someone's going to pay for the mods. Of course, though, if close to no one pays for mods, then that's a different issue. I have been hosting Minecraft servers and stuff for 5 years. Yato can confirm, and I haven't gone down pretty much once. I've always been hosting something, whether it be Mumble or a forum, and I've always had enough server hardware to run something like this. So even if nothing can pay for it, it should run for at least a couple more months.
Also, to answer your question from what happened earlier, we were talking about having ads on the website and that you could potentially pay $5 or something to get rid of those ads for a period of time.
Yeah.
That would also generate revenue.
Yeah, precisely, because as said, we inevitably will have to end up taking a cut of the pay what you want revenue. And as such, we might as well give people something back for that, like turning the ads off. Because I would expect that the amount of money you get from one person looking at ads for, say, a week is a lot less than the money you get for them paying for paying $5 for their download and whatever cut we end up getting from that. Because ultimately, ads are only worthwhile at scale if just taking away one person from the people who are looking at ads doesn't change much. As such, one person is worth pennies. So if they pay anything, it's ultimately it's pretty much your you pretty much have to take their ads away for a bit because it's to give them something for that. It's like, hey, you broke the mold. You're doing something that most people don't do. Here's something back for you. Thank you. Delta downloads. Yes, I really do want to look into Delta download stuff. And it's probably not going to be something we're going to be doing on 1.0, but that is definitely something I want to look at. Shared object downloads across different packs. Ultimately, due to the way the server works, that's probably going to end up being natural. Because ultimately, if people upload a pack and it contains a mod that's not on the platform for some reason or another, and a lot of mods use that, or a lot of mod packs use that mod, on the server side, that's going to be deduplicated. So it's going to be one link. So there's no reason the client can't take advantage of that too. On Linux, I'd probably end up using symbolic links. Symbolic links exist on Windows, but I think you need admin to make them, and they're really, really, really bad.
They still break some backup solutions.
Great. Meanwhile, on Linux, all the backup solutions have to support symbolic links because it's a native OS feature.
Yeah, it's usually
Then again,
the older things, but
yeah. Then again, links are a native feature on Windows as well. They're just kind of new. Well, yes, I think we can probably pretty much safely say that all of Windows' new features are just stolen from other operating systems. But that's a topic that's not related and is probably going to end up stirring something up. So I'm gonna step away from that. My opinions on operating systems are not relevant to this discussion.
I can confirm that they're in fact quite strong.
Yeah. Of course, though, the big thing though is people out there who are running Linux and are kind of tired of not being able to run the launcher of the week. Since I run Linux, Linux is a first-class platform on everything I create. And I also have a strong love for package managers on the command line. As such, there will also be a command line package manager if you missed that. Which is, of course, very good for servers, because then you can you use the package manager to launch the server, and it automatically does everything for you. It automatically installs updates. It automatically downloads and installs the correct version of Forge, and it just makes everything much easier. Wouldn't your payment system promote specific mods getting all the payment? I have a counter question to that. Wouldn't a content distribution platform promote specific mods getting all the downloads? It's a question that can't be solved, because ultimately the mods that are more popular are going to get more payment. The mods that are less popular are going to get less payment, and you can switch out payment for downloads, and it's equally true. That was my point, SXW. How would you handle client and server side mods in a modpack installation? I personally am quite a fan of how skcraft handles this, which is they have a specific client and server folder in the mods folder. And so the mods that are in the client folder only go on the client, and the mods in the server folder only go on the server. It's nice and simple, and it works really well. How will packs be versioned, and can we have test/private versions of the packs? I've already answered that we will definitely be having a private mod pack system. And test mod packs are simply an extension of that. And how will they be versioned? Ultimately, I think that's the choice of the author of the mod or mod pack. And I feel like the best prior art on this is the Jenkins promotions plugin. Only visible to maintainers of that pack. Yeah, a private mod pack is obviously only visible to people that you specify it's visible to. So, sort of continuing what I was saying, the Jenkins promotions plugin I feel is a very good example of how to do something like this. It's a flexible way that's still useful. So basically, how the promotion plugins works, if you're not familiar, is you're able to specify these things called promotions. Usually, you end up specifying something like beta, release, or broken, and you then specify like if where these should show up, for example. So you specify the release promotion, let's say, and you say, okay, by default, all my mods are published with no promotion, so they don't show up on the main page and they're not advertised anywhere, and you have to go to a specific page to get them and see them. So you put all your dev builds under that, and then once you release a dev build, people have tested it a lot, and let's say, okay, I think this is stable enough now to release. So rather than re-uploading a new build and reflagging it and everything, you just go to there and you say, promote as release. And it goes through all of the motions required to promote that build and put it in all the places it needs to go and make it show up as the new release. And you could also have this for betas as well, and you could specify, oh, for betas, put them somewhere else that's less visible, or for alphas, put them somewhere else that's even less visible, or you don't even have to use release, beta, and alpha. You could give it completely different names if you really wanted to. And then you could, and going back to our broken promotion from earlier, you can also learn later that one of the builds you released is actually not very stable, and it's actually extremely broken in some fundamental way. So while you're dealing with this, rather than pulling the download, which would break some stuff, you can just flag it as broken. And then flagging it as broken would hide it from everything. Kenny asks, will you be switching to Java for the service, or will you be sticking to Java for the server-side tech or another platform like Golang? I'm not specifically tied to Java servlets. Java is just the language I know best, and as such, I feel it's best I write the biggest application piece of this in Java, as that's the most likely to be maintainable. I do like the ideas behind Go, but I also don't really find reasons to use Go. If as far as that goes, I much prefer using Rust. Will there be a server-side client to download, update, and launch packs? Epics, I did cover this. I said that the launcher will work as a package manager as well, and you will probably be able to just do Modistry run pack name, and it would automatically download any updates, apply them, update forge if required, build a new server in the current directory if there isn't a server, and then just run it. I didn't say Rust is better than Go. I said that I tend to go to Rust more often than Go. Will the server be open source? I did cover this already as well, and the answer to that is there is some code in there that is not mine that I don't have the rights to release, and the people who are responsible for that code have said that they will not be releasing it open source unless the platform becomes popular and they can release it as a GPL. The client, however, I fully expect to be open source because it uses a bunch of well-known APIs for well-known services, and there's nothing in there that's really secret. And it's all my code, of course. This isn't related to this, but Hughes asks, as an Objective-C developer, can I please have more Swift in my life? No. That should probably get fixed. Since if someone's recording this, you might not be able to see the chat. Apparently, Draconic Evolution's portal is dropping you in the void. And the Abyssal Craft dimension has a hole right under spawn, and the Progressive Automation booth teleports you into a wall.
I'll go fix that hole in Bristol Craft. I can place blocks.
Okay.
I'll go investigate DE.
Okay. Cool. I can implicitly delegate people now. It's like some sort of superpower.
It's kind of my job to deal with this crap.
It is. That's why you're here. So it's good you're actually doing something useful.
It is my job.
Wow.
And I don't usually do things.
Harsh crowd.
So do we have any more questions, or should I just try to dig up something to talk about?
Does anybody know what floor the Abyssal Craft booth is on?
Oh, I only have 4 minutes. This entire thing's been a Q&A, and usually you close out a panel with a Q&A. So I guess I don't need to close it. So if nobody else has any questions, I guess I'll just end the panel. I'm of course going to wait up here for a minute if anyone... a reverse question. As the BTM organizer, I'm tempted to just ask how the con has been, but in relation to my panel, I'm going to ask what would you like to see in a mod platform or a content platform? Or have I covered everything that people could have ever possibly wanted, and I'm making all their dreams come true, and it's literally a utopia?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you've already covered Linux support.
Yeah, innuendo, I noted your suggestion of making videos for Modistry.
I'm just looking for
Yeah, Blay, I did mention I want to make a project only tangentially related to Modistry that would be a Gradle plugin that deploys to pretty much all the platforms simultaneously.
I think I just crashed.
Fit, I was going to make well actually if I make it in Bash on Linux, it would have one dependency. That would be Bash. I was writing it in Rust, which means it has 0 dependencies. You can just extract it and run it. The Rust standard library gets included into the executable. I didn't say Golang didn't do that.
Rust currently doesn't really support dynamic linking, so
all the better. I don't want dynamic linking.
yeah.
So Draconic Evolution's booth is no more.
Uh,
The
What happened
portal,
to it?
the portal that it went to take you, that dropped you into the void. That was where the booth was. And
it was in 00. Use/snap use latest, and then just select the nearby area and then do //restore.
Yeah, again, does anybody know what floor the Whistlecraft booth is on? I'm going up systematically, but I might have missed it.
It's somewhere.
Should be like in
It's on the first floor.
one
I
of
crashed next to it earlier.
Hughes, if you're about to restore the entire region, don't do that.
I'm not.
Good, I missed it then.
Yeah, and I would say thanks for having me, but I just kind of jumped up here because we needed a panel to fill the time. So I hope I've been sufficiently entertaining and that I've answered everyone's questions and that you are excited for Modistry.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Or at least
Yeah.
I am.
All right, cool. And I do hope that the Minecraft modding machine does continue. I was interested in their project. I would love to see their interpretation of a lot of these ideas. And ultimately, one of the best things for sort of projects like this is not necessarily competition, but just alternatives, because it really drives everyone to innovate forward if everyone is innovating.
I have kind of a question that's tangentially related to the idea of the platform. Are mod config files kind of a generally universal format, or do people use their own third-party formats?
The vast majority of mods use the built-in Forge configuration format, which is this kind of strange ad hoc format that is strange. There's some mods that insist on using Hocon because it's bundled with Forge due to Scala being bundled. Hocon is a nice language, but it suffers a bit from feature creep and some other things, and it's a little strange to use on the code side. But there are a number of people who swear by it, and they use it in their mods as such. And then there are some mods that use JSON, and that's just unacceptable.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, if you use JSON, you probably have a good reason.
Yeah.
If you don't, why are you using JSON? It's so hard to write JSON.
JSON is,
Dot properties is also
just
okay.
even a bad choice for a config language. I used it in Iceball, and I had a fuck ton of issues. Oh, people had a fuck ton of issues with it.
Which language did you say?
JSON.
Yeah, JSON.
JSON isn't really hard to write, it's just annoying to write.
Yeah, well, commas.
Well, yeah. Hard is annoying, close enough.
Kind of the extension to that is one of the pain points I've had running my own servers at home and piecemeal adding my own mods to the setup is when a mod maybe upgrades or changes some settings, and then I have to go in and like change things. I find myself using diff tools like meld.
Yeah.
And if we had, I was kind of trying to write a tool that would diff the properties themselves, and if your tool has the ability to, upgrade your config files or give me a guarantee, like it's a big fat uncertainty when I'm upgrading that I've got the config files right.
Yeah, I don't think
there's a tool like that existing.
Yeah, if there is a tool that exists, that's kind of cool. But at the same time, I don't think that there is a good solution to that other than having a human operator look over it. It's not something you can auto detect.
Yeah, what I was attempting to do on my own was write a tool that sort of brought them into a property descriptor, it was JavaScript, so bring it into an object, and then it would show me what properties were modified between the two, what didn't exist in the previous version, and then it was using its own tokenizer so that it could sort of inject stuff into the text stream on its own. So
yeah,
perfect. It's one of those like, this looks like this is fun to write, but
Yeah, my personal solution to that would be good old sort.
Yeah.
Just sort config greater than config.a, then do the same thing for the other one to config.b, and then diff those. And since they're sorted, you don't have to worry about the diff being frivolous.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, I feel like the thing is that sort of thing is sort of on the modders because it's just
it should be, yeah.
Yeah, it should be because ultimately it's like it's the same thing as making your blocks and such cleanly update between versions of your mod. It's like if a user's configs just stop working in an update, that's not really acceptable. I'm looking at you, Joshi.
I think maybe my wariness is probably stems from earlier versions of running mod packs from the 1.4.7 era, or even prior to that.
Yeah, I didn't really get into making mod packs until 1. I might have made a mod pack at 1.6, but I've mainly made mod packs in 1.7, so I might have had a bit of a beautified view of making mod packs.
Modern?
No. Right.
Nope.
I didn't make modern though. That was whoever made that. And plus the mod pack had like 3 mods.
Modern had more than 3 mods. What are you talking about?
It had like 4, okay?
The original Modern did have quite a few. It didn't have very many.
Okay, it had like it had SDKs, guns, computer craft, red power, and I think that was about it.
Right, I'm looking for this hole. I don't know if somebody already fixed it because I got stuck in the portal, sending me back and forth because I'm lagging. But
yes,
there's not a hole
some
here.
person had dug a deep hole right by the portal.
Where is that, or has it been fixed?
I fixed it.
Oh, awesome! Thanks. I was a bit
Yeah,
stuck.
I've sort of run into that same problem as well, Henry. It's just the kind of the thing. It's like that's another problem that there really isn't a good solution to. Because yeah, I mean, for a while I maintained a mod that had a really expansive config, and I tweaked the balance in my mod quite frequently. But if you had a custom config, it wouldn't apply the changes. So it's like ultimately, how do you apply these changes?
Yeah.
And I feel like ultimately the best solution to this is a library to include on the mod side, because I feel like this is something you can solve in code. Yeah, Sanger, you could definitely do that, and that's probably what the solution I'd mentioned would end up being.
What did Sanger say?
He said he suggested saving the version in the config and then patching individual values based on the version. So I would presume that you'd have, if you have a config that's version 1, and you change one value, and then in version 3 you change another. If you loaded a version 1 config, you would upgrade it to version 2 by applying those changes if the value was at the default, and then you would upgrade it to version 3 by applying the changes that for the things that were still the default. Yeah, like a config migration. It's the same kind of thing, I guess. At least the impression I've gotten is it's the same thing you do with databases, and configs are in a way a database.